Orient Star isn't a brand you hear about too often, but I have one in front of me to show you guys today. This is one of their more expensive watches. Orient Stars can go for about 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 Canadian dollars, but this skeleton watch here, the tag is still on it. You can see that this was right over here. With taxes, it's about 320,000 yen, which is about 3,200 Canadian dollars retail price. So this watch is quite expensive for Orient standards. Again, it's probably one of the most expensive Orients you can buy today, brand new. And so let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it and really let's focus on the dial at first. It's a skeleton watch, which some people like, some people don't like. I think some people don't like it because it's associated with kind of looking cheap. There's a lot of cheap quartz watches out there that try and make themselves look fancy by making a skeleton dial, you know, looking at the different gears and such. And yeah, that's kind of now associated with being some cheap watch that's pretending to look expensive. The only difference with this one, or one of the main differences, is that this is expensive. The other thing is that the finishing is definitely a lot nicer than those cheap skeleton quartz watches. It really glistens in the light. I don't know if the camera can pick it up. I'm filming this in 4K just to give this watch the justice it deserves, but the finishing on the movement is really nice. So you can really see it shine and you can really see it sparkle. So that's one good thing. Also, these hands, I believe they're heat treated blue. So it's not a painted blue, it's heat treated, which is more of a premium step. So you can see those hands are quite nicely blued. You probably also noticed the power reserve at the top, it's 70 hours. So there is a skeleton watch that was the previous generation and it only had a power reserve up to 50 hours. So this upgraded one now has 70 hours, which I think that's the best. That's kind of the sweet spot for mechanical watches. I want my watch to last about 3 days without winding the crown. So 70-hour power reserve is great. I like having the power reserve at the front of the dial. It's nice to see how much power is left. And so you can see this watch has 50 hours so far, but I'll give it a few winds later on in this video. The sub-dial seconds hand, I'm not the biggest fan. I kind of like watches that have the long seconds hand so you can really see the watch move, but maybe they chose this, I don't know, just because it's a skeleton watch, not too sure. But you can see here it's skeleton. You can see my hand appears behind it. You can see the different gears. You can see, I don't even know, the balance wheel, that turning gear. I took a class about watchmaking, but I forgot all the components already. But it is cool to see the different parts. And yeah, basically the background is whatever it's lying on. So if it's lying on your wrist, if it's lying on the table, the color will change. And overall, I feel like the legibility is pretty good considering it's a skeleton watch. I feel like skeleton watches can sometimes be too complex where you can't really see the time, but I think these hands do a pretty good job of contrasting with the background. Another thing we can talk about, when we talked about the movement a little bit, you know, the 70-hour power reserve, this is a hand winding watch. So if I flip to the back here, you see that there is no rotor. The finishing is pretty good. Let's just show that off a little bit. Yeah, so it's good finishing, no rotor on the back. So that means it's completely hand winding only. So you can see if I give it a wind, it's very smooth because this watch, I think it was purchased just a few months ago from Japan. So the hand winding is quite nice and smooth. We can also adjust the time here. Let's just adjust it to 1040. So yeah, the hand winding is good. The time adjustment is good. There is no date wheel, which I actually appreciate. I really like watches where it's just the time. I feel like the date wheel can just complicate things. It can make things asymmetrical, which of course this watch is of course asymmetrical because you can see the movement behind it. But I do like how it's just the time, which means if this does wind down and you have to restart it, you just have to change the time. There is no date. The strap here is also quite nice and soft. You can see it's the default strap and it does come with a deployant clasp. I might sell this watch so I won't be unpackaging this, but yeah, it's a nice crocodile leather strap and it's quite nice quality. It is kind of backwards if you notice, or at least in my opinion. So this top part here, I'm used to having this on the bottom. So it's kind of flipped, at least according to my comfort, but of course you could always change it. You can just take out the strap using a spring bar tool, and then you can flip it and orient it the way you want. Here it is on my 6-inch wrist. This is, I think it's 39 millimeters diameter and 46 millimeters lug to lug. So it's definitely not a small dress watch. So it's a dress watch for modern standards, which for me, it's about 40 millimeters is now the new dress watch standard. So it does fit my wrist for the most part, but it could definitely fit larger wrists as well. And again, I'm not going to put it on just because I may sell this watch, but I think it looks pretty nice. And if you want that kind of premium skeleton watch, I think Zenith, they have some skeleton watches, and of course you have your $100,000 watches, $200,000 watches that will also have a skeleton dial. But within the few $1,000 mark, you don't really see that many watches with a skeleton dial. So this one's kind of rare. It kind of is the only skeleton watch I can think of at this price point besides Zenith. So that's an interesting point to point out. I think Orient Star, this is my first time holding an Orient Star. So, how does this compare to Grand Seiko or Casio Oceanus or, those other high-end Japanese watches? I feel like it's quite comparable, right? It definitely feels more premium than a typical $500 watch. Would I spend the full price on it? Probably not. And really, it is because of the brand. There's really a lack of brand recognition or a lack of brand value compared to even Grand Seiko. I would say Grand Seiko has a stronger brand value compared to Orient Star. So for $3,000, maybe not, but for $2,000, I think this is pretty good. If you get it brand new in good condition, I think $2,000 is quite fair for the finishing, the materials. Again, premium strap, sapphire crystal, see-through case back, 70-hour power reserve. These are all great things and things you want in a watch. So I will end this video off with just a close-up shot of the dial. I know it's sometimes hard to see the dial when I'm holding the watch, so I'm just going to leave it on the table so you can see it in its full glory. All the different screws, all the different gears, and the hands. And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing the first Orient Star on this channel. Hopefully this won't be the last. Maybe if I can find some other interesting ones, I'll bring them up, because Orient Star does have some interesting watches. They're a lot more bold compared to perhaps some Seiko and some Citizen watches. So thank you again for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more videos. And as always, I will see you guys next time.